Hello everyone, Ron here from RJJ's Reactions, and this time around I'm looking back at Tim Minchin. We had some fun with Tim Minchin previously, so I thought I'd have another look, and this one is called Storm. So let's have a listen to Tim Minchin, and I'm not sure if I'll do the lyrics after or during, because I'm not sure how this will come out. I'm not exactly sure what it is, so we'll see, and we'll figure that out as we go along. All right, Storm by Tim Minchin.
A bit of fun. It's a 9.5-minute jazz-backed beat poem about critical thinking. Yeah. Woo! Rock on. Be good if I was joking. It's called Storm. Inner North London, top floor flat, all white walls, white carpet, white cat, rice paper partitions, modern art and ambition. The host's a physician, bright bloke, has his own practice. His girlfriend's an actress, an old mate of ours from home, and they're always great fun, so to dinner we've come. The fifth guest is an unknown. The hosts have just thrown us together for a favour because his girl's just arrived from Australia and she's moved to North London and she's the sister of someone or has some connection. As we make introductions, I'm struck by her beauty. She's irrefutably fair with dark eyes and dark hair. But as she sits, I admit I'm a little bit wary because I notice the tip of the wing of a fairy tattooed on that popular area just above the derriere. And when she says, "I'm a Sagittarian," I confess a pigeonhole starts to form and is immediately filled with pigeon.
Okay, I like the kind of jazzy music in the back and the beat poem idea here. And he's telling this story, and you can imagine the scene. You can see the scene in your mind. Or I think you can anyway. I can.
When she says her name is Storm, conversation is initially bright and light-hearted, but it's not long before Storm gets started. You can't know anything. Knowledge is merely opinion. She opines over her Cabernet Sauvignon vis-a-vis some unhippily empirical comment made by me. Not a good start, I think. We're only on pre-dinner drinks, and across the room my wife widens her eyes, silently begs me, "Be nice." A matrimonial warning not worth ignoring, so I resist the urge to ask Storm whether knowledge is so loose weave of a morning when deciding whether to leave her apartment by the front door or the window on her second floor. The food is delicious, and Storm, whilst avoiding all meat, happily sits and eats, as the good doctor, slightly pissedly, holds court on some anachronistic aspect of medical history when Storm suddenly insists, "But the human body is a mystery. Science just falls in a hole when it tries to explain the nature of the soul."
I can't tell you how much I have heard of this. And at times when you didn't need to hear about this. Oh my God.
Caught on some anachronistic aspect of medical history when Storm suddenly insists, "But the human body is a mystery. Science just falls in a hole when it tries to explain the nature of the soul." My hostess throws me a glance. She, like my wife, knows there's a chance I'll be off on one of my rare but fun rants, but I shan't. My lips are sealed. I just want to enjoy the meal. And although Storm is starting to get my goat, I have no intention of rocking the boat. Although it's becoming a bit of a wrestle, because like her meteorological namesake, Storm has no such concerns for our vessel. Pharmaceutical companies are the enemy. They promote drug dependency at the cost of the natural remedies that all our bodies need. They are immoral and driven by greed. Why take drugs when herbs can solve it? Why use chemicals when homeopathic solvents can resolve it? I think it's time we all return to live with natural medical alternatives. And try as I like, a small crack appears in my diplomacy dike. By definition, I begin, alternative medicine, I continue, has either not been proved to work or been proved not to work. Do you know what they call alternative medicine that's been proved to work? Medicine.
Yes, exactly. Yes, all the testing and all the work that they do to try to find what will work, what will be efficacious for whatever issue a person is having. Um, and if it does actually work, and if it's proven again and again, and if it gets through all of this testing and trials, then it becomes medicine. So what was once maybe considered alternative is medicine. But uh, nothing wrong with people trying to look at diet and other things. Maybe some vitamins might help them, etc. But some of the so-called medicines that you get from homeopaths and others, and they're not all bad, but the medicines are, in my opinion. And I remember the amazing Randy many years ago swallowing a whole bottle of those tablets on stage. I'm sure he did it many times when he was performing, just to show that they have absolutely nothing in them. They are completely useless. You spend money on them, and you get caught in a trap because you really want to feel well. If you're feeling sick, you really want to feel well, and so you will try almost anything, and it's unfortunate. It's a real trap. I'm surprised that they're allowed to get away with it, um, but there is such a conspiracy now against big government, big corporations, big business, and rightly so in some ways. Definitely, you've got to ask questions. You've got to uh, find solutions to the problem. Medications are far too expensive, particularly in the United States, and there are other issues and problems that do need to be dealt with. There's no doubt about that. However, that doesn't mean you throw everything out and say all of that is bad, and this totally unproven, totally, intuitive person down the street told me this is going to work. That's the right thing to do. It just doesn't make any sense, not any logical sense at all, any factual sense at all, and it's frustrating.
Continue, has
This is
either not
funny though.
been proved to work or been proved not to work. Do you know what they call alternative medicine that's been proved to work? Medicine. So you don't believe in any natural remedies? On the contrary, Storm, actually, before we came to tea, I took a remedy derived from the bark of a willow tree. A painkiller that's virtually side effect free. It's got a weird name. Darling, what was it again? Masprin? Basprin? Oh yeah, aspirin, which I paid about $1 for down at the local drugstore. The debate briefly abates as my hosts collect plates. But when they return with desserts, Storm pertly asserts, Shakespeare said it first. There are more things in heaven and earth than exist in your philosophy. Science is just how we're trained to look at reality. It doesn't explain love or spirituality. How does science explain psychics, auras, the afterlife, the power of prayer? I'm becoming aware that I'm staring. I'm like a rabbit suddenly trapped in the blinding headlights of vacuous crap.
Oh my God.
Maybe it's the Hamlet she just misquaffed, or the 6th glass of wine I just quaffed, but my diplomacy dike groans, and the asshole held back by its stones can be held back no more. Look, Storm, sorry, I don't mean to bore you, but there's no such thing as an aura. Reading auras is like reading minds, or tea leaves, or star signs, or meridian lines. These people aren't plying a skill. They're either lying or mentally ill. Same goes for people who claim they can hear God's demands, and spiritual healers who think they've got magic hands. By the way, why do we think it's okay for people to pretend they can talk to the dead? Isn't that totally fucked in the head? Lying to some crying woman whose child has died and telling her you're in touch with the other side? I think that is fundamentally sick. Do we need to clarify here that there's no such thing as a psychic? What are we, fucking two? Do we actually think that Horton heard a who? Do we still...
Okay, I'm trying to find a good place to stop, but he's going so fast. Yeah, there's so many things. I think a lot of people believe what they believe. I think a lot of people believe they can see auras. A lot of people believe they can read tea leaves. A lot of people believe they can talk to God and all of these things, and God talks back to them sometimes. But what you believe and what isn't always the same thing. And then there are others who abuse it and who use it, and they know that it isn't true and it isn't real, but they're taking your money, and they're using you and abusing you in ways that are just appalling. Like he says, people who claim they're talking to your dead relative, and they're looking down on you, and they're caring for you, and they're sending you a message, and all of this nonsense, just made up crap. It's so bad. I just don't understand people. But but he's presenting it in such a hilarious way, but such a meaningful way too. A lot of what he's saying is fact.
They can talk to the dead. Isn't that totally fucked in the head? Lying to some crying woman whose child has died and telling her you're in touch with the other side? I think that is fundamentally sick. Do we need to clarify here that there's no such thing as a psychic? What are we, fucking two? Do we actually think that Horton heard a who? Do we still believe that Santa brings us gifts, that Michael Jackson didn't have facelifts? Are we still so stunned by circus tricks that we think the dead would want to talk to pricks like John Edward? Storm, to her credit, despite my derision, keeps firing off cliches with startling precision, like a sniper using bollocks for ammunition. You're so sure of your position, but you're just closed-minded. I think you'll find that your faith in science and tests is just as blind as the faith of any fundamentalist. Wow, that's a good point. Let me think for a bit. Oh wait, my mistake. That's absolute bullshit. Science adjusts its views based on what's observed. Faith is the denial of observation so that belief can be preserved. If you show me that, say, homeopathy works, then I will change my mind. I will spin on a fucking dime. I'll be as embarrassed as hell, yet I will run through the streets yelling, "It's a miracle! Take physics and bin it! Water has memory! And whilst its memory of a long-lost drop of onion juice seems infinite, it somehow forgets all the poo it's had in it." You show me that it works, and how it works, and when I've recovered from the shock, I will take a compass and carve fancy that on the side of my cock.
Yeah, the water thing, he's referring to homeopathic remedies. And this is actually what they say, and it's absolute tripe, it's absolute nonsense, and yet people swallow it up because they say it in such a nice way. I actually know a very nice homeopath. I got duped for a little while myself, and until I did more research and found out it's mostly nonsense. As I say, I'm always willing to give a person a little bit of space. So I think with some of the diet stuff, maybe some of the vitamins, minerals, maybe, but all of those little tablets and all of those little liquids that they use, no, no, no. It's just water, and it has no memory. And as he says, if it does have memory, what about all the poo that's in it? That's nonsense.
Everyone's just staring now, but I'm pretty pissed and I've dug this far down, so I figure, in for a penny, in for a pound. Life is full of mysteries, yeah, but there are answers out there, and they won't be found by people sitting around looking serious and saying, "Isn't life mysterious? Let's sit here and hope. Let's call up the fucking Pope. Let's go watch Oprah interview Deepak Chopra." If you want to watch telly, you should watch Scooby-Doo. That show was so cool because every time there was a church with a ghoul or a ghost in a school, they looked beneath the mask, and what was inside? The fucking janitor or the dude who ran the water slide. Because throughout history, every mystery ever solved has turned out to be not magic. Does the idea that there might be knowledge frighten you? Does the idea that one afternoon on Wikipedia might enlighten you frighten you? Does the notion that there might not be a supernatural? So blow your hippie noodle. They'd rather just stand in the fog of your inability to Google. Isn't this enough? Just this world? Just this beautiful, complex, wonderfully unfathomable natural world? How does it so fail to hold our attention that we have to diminish it with the invention of cheap man-made myths and monsters? If you're so into your Shakespeare, lend me your ear. To gild refined gold, to paint the lily, to throw a perfume on the violet is just fucking silly. Or something like that. Or what about Satchmo? I'll see trees of green, red roses too, and fine, if you wish to glorify Krishna and Vishnu in a post-colonial, condescending, bottled up and labelled kind of way, then whatever, that's okay. But here's what gives me a hard on. I am a tiny, insignificant, ignorant bit of carbon. I have one life, and it is short and unimportant. But thanks to recent scientific advances, I get to live twice as long as my great 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 uncles and aunts. Twice as long to live this life of mine. Twice as long to love this wife of mine. Twice as many years of friends and wine, of sharing curries and getting shitty at good-looking hippies with berries on their spines and butterflies on their titties.
Oh my God.
And if perchance I have offended, think but this and all is mended. We'd as well be 10 minutes back in time for all the chance you'll change your mind.
Very well done. Yeah, that's good. Looks like that's the end there. Um, that was funny. That was very, very funny. It's so well done. How does he do all those lines and remember all those lines and get through it? He didn't drink any of that wine or much of that wine anyway, so that didn't get in the way. But yeah, what a unique performer, barefoot and all. But some real facts in there, some really important things to think about and talk about and discuss and not fight about, but discuss and talk about. And I know that certainly there's some very good arguments for some of the beliefs that people have and how they have possibly helped over the time, but there's very good argument on how much harm they've done and how much harm they continue to do. And as he said, whenever we have made discoveries or found out what causes earthquakes, volcanoes, storms, all of these things, meteor showers, and all of these things, it's never magic. It's never. It seems magical, but it's not magic, and it's not. God's throwing down lightning bolts or anything like this. We find a natural physics or otherwise explanation for these things. So yeah, very, very funny. There's no need to look at the lyrics separately because I think um, you could catch most of the lyrics throughout, and I stopped and made some comments about the lyrics as we went through. But yeah, some really, really good points there and done in an extraordinarily humorous way. I can picture this dinner and the wine and the wife looking and the guest as well, and I can also picture Storm. I'm sure everyone has met people like this who are just bulldozers. They just keep on going, and even when you're polite and you try to signal them and you try to say things gently to sort of stop them from going down that path, they just keep on going, and they're just so sure that they're right, that they can't stop themselves. So yeah, that was fun. Tim Minchin, Storm. Let me know what else you'd like me to react to in terms of Tim or anyone else, and I'll add it to the list. It's Ron from RJJ's Reactions. Keep listening, keep having fun. Bye bye for now.